Good morning and welcome to another inspiring episode of the Good Morning Minute, where we start the day with purpose, passion, and a little bit of power. I'm your host, Angelina Mojica, and today's conversation is part of a special series in partnership with the Empower Her Steps virtual conference, a movement rooted in helping women rise, heal, and walk boldly into the life God has designed for them. Our mission is simple but powerful, empowering life's purpose, because we believe that when a woman finds clarity in her calling, everything changes for her family, her community, and generations to come. So friends, grab your cup of coffee, take a deep breath, and get ready to be uplifted as we dive into real stories, honest lessons, and bold steps towards purpose with our incredible guest. And our guest today is Lisa. Hello, Lisa. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Angelina. How are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you for asking. So excited that you are here with us and can't wait to get to know you even better.
It's a great show to be on. Anything that empowers women, and just gives them positive energy is where I want to be.
Wonderful. Well, before we get started, Lisa, I would love to give you just an opportunity to share a little bit about yourself with our listeners.
Okay. Number one, I've always been a very quiet person. Um, Not one to complain. I don't want to ruffle any feathers, anything like this. Um, my story starts years ago. And what happened was I ended up writing a book. The book's name is called Shocked. The reason it's called Shocked is because I had to get shock treatments because I had very, very serious depression.
Mhm.
My whole life, I had obsessive compulsive disorder. I had anorexia. I was in the hospital for 3 months. And then we went into this deep depression, and it was kind of like this cycle. It would get really, really bad to the point of almost wanting, like, being suicidal. And then they'd put me in the hospital and they'd try all different kinds of drugs. Um, Nothing worked. And the doctor's go-to, he said our last ditch option was shock therapy. It's called ECT, and that stands for electroconvulsive therapy. Um, Okay, if you break it in half, so that's electric. They're putting electricity through your brain. Okay. Convulsive is the other part of it. That electricity causes a grand mal seizure. I have friends who have epilepsy and they take medicine so they don't have seizures. Um, with this treatment, their purpose is to make you have a seizure. They say it's their way of rebooting your brain, almost like restarting your computer. Um, and they didn't say anything to me or other people that I've talked to about the fact that I would have side effects that could possibly be permanent. Now, it's been 20 years since I had my first treatment. And memory, again, is very bad. And maybe 10 years since I had my last treatment. And it's only now that I wrote the book. And I'll tell you why so much time went on, because I was stuck in the victim mode. I was stuck in that this happened to me and it was wrongly done to me, because I was never told that all of those executive function skills, like being organized, being able to cook dinner, like, mashed potatoes, corn, chicken. Like, I can't do three things at once. I can make you chicken, but that's all you're going to get. So my mind can really only focus on one thing at once. And the more I talk to other people through Facebook groups, the more I learned that they had the same problem. Um, and I learned that I don't want to say it like this, but I learned that it wasn't just in my head. I mean, pardon the pun, but the doctor makes you feel like it's not because of those treatments that you're having problems with your memory. And they do everything to convince you that if you just give it some time and your memory will come back. My doctor said that to me for 20 years. My memory never came back. There was a point that my ability to talk, my ability to understand or process, like if you ask me a question, my ability to understand that question and give a response, that was how I had a lot of problems with that. So anything where I have to process information and then shoot something back at you, I had a lot of problems doing. I was stuttering, and more things were coming up. And we went to a couple of neurologists because now we're not talking depression. Now we're talking brain problems. And this one particular neurologist in this area, well known, I had to wait like 3 or 4 months for an appointment. So I took the appointment, but they said I can see the PA, the physician assistant. And I'm like, well, we'll take that too. And she recommended speech therapy. As far as I knew, speech therapy was just for people when they had problems swallowing when they get older, or like a speech impediment or anything like that. It turned out that these speech therapists do brain work with people who have had traumatic brain injuries. So if someone had an accident, a motorcycle accident, ATV, whatever, one of the women who wrote a book, I think her head got hit by an umbrella. Crazy things. But it turned out that she ended up having a brain injury. So I went to this speech therapist, and my brain started getting better. And then I got angry. And that was it. Now, like I said, I was always shy, relaxed, everything like that. But when I found out that there was help, and my doctor never told me. Now, this doctor, I will even say is brilliant because I have been in seminars. He's brilliant. So you can't tell me he didn't know that this was available. Okay? It's in our area. It's been here for years. It's available everywhere. It's speech therapy. Yeah, and I got mad. And
Wow.
my
Wow.
friend, one of my running coaches, told me for 2 years straight, he's like, you have to get your story out there. People have to know that this is happening and it's not right. The problem is that when right before anytime you have a procedure, like let's say you go for an x-ray, you have to sign a consent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Giving them permission to give you that x-ray. And these are the possible side effects. Okay. They're legally obligated to do that. Okay. Every consent that I signed, there was nothing there about possible cognitive long-term side effects. And I'm almost in a state of where it's almost like a dementia. When older people start like forgetting things,
Mm-hmm.
I forget that much. Um, but yes, I was angry, and I I I just told myself I have to write this down. I didn't know how much longer my brain was going to be okay enough to write the book.
Mm. Wow. First and foremost, Lisa, I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your journey and just your challenge and pain. Because it almost sounds like you traded one pain for another
Yeah.
in this treatment. You know, being depressed, clinically depressed, and then they offer this idea, which as a psychology major in my undergrad is
Hmm.
barbaric from what from what my studies tell me. Those were some of the early treatments because people were trying to figure it out and experimenting on humans basically, um, for it to still be introduced as an option, to help with those things. And I'm at awe because I'm like, wow, that is crazy in the sense of not being able to tell you that this could be a solution, but then in this solution, there's so many other things that can happen. So, I mean, you weren't even given the opportunity, you were robbed of the chance to weigh out.
I wasn't given the information where I could have made I had problems with my words. An informed decision.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, everything says safe and effective. Everywhere you look, everything says safe and effective. And I think they think it's safe and effective because it makes the person more docile afterwards, and they're kind of more chill. But I mean, that day and days after, you have horrible migraines. You can't be left alone because they think you're gonna leave something on the stove. Just like someone with dementia, you can't leave them alone.
Mm-hmm.
So it was that kind of memory loss. And I've talked to people around the world, through a Facebook group, and the same things that were happening to me was happening to them.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just by chance that I don't even know how I found this group, but they were the light, because I finally learned that it wasn't just me. Like, the doctors really made me think it was in my head. I
Wow.
and that neurologist I was telling you about, that we went to the physician assistant, and she sent me a speech. When we finally went in to see that neurologist, well known in the area, he said, almost almost word for word, "I don't treat ECT patients. Go back to your psychiatrist."
Wow. Okay.
To find a doctor that will, I'm going to be bold, admit that these treatments can cause damage to your brain. They cause changes in your brain, which is damage. When you lose a function because of something, that becomes brain damage or a brain injury.
Mm-hmm.
I lost 20 years of my long-term memory.
Mm-hmm.
20 years. I don't remember weddings. I don't remember funerals. Um, I don't remember first day of school. It it's a big loss. And
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah.
way my brain works, it's kind of like I'm right in this moment, but everything that happened up until this moment doesn't exist.
Mm. And my heart hurts for you to hear you say that 20 years of long-term memory because there's so many. experiences and just, things that we go through in 20 years that make who we are today and
Yeah.
shape us for sure. And for that to all literally be erased because of this treatment, this, my heart does break for you. So let's talk a little bit about the book and kind of what it's done for you in the sense of, was this something that helped you kind of move past the anger? Because you were like, wow, this therapist is helping me, but had I known all of this, I probably would have made a different decision, or looked at another alternative as far as treatment for the depression. So let's talk a little bit about that. What was the book like for you? What was it? A healing?
Before I forget, because I'm
Sure,
gonna forget, I'm gonna show
sure.
you the book because we're saying it now. Can
Okay.
I?
Yeah.
Is that good?
All right. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
That's my service dog, Teddy. I have a service dog, Teddy. And in the book, it talks about him coming into my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to start taking him for walks and training him because I wanted him to be a service dog.
Mm-hmm.
And then we started running together. And it's a whole, it's how I got my life back. It's a
Yeah.
whole story about how this dog comes into my life, and my life was horrible with in bed all day long, side effects for medications, migraines, um, my my poor husband not knowing what he's going to come home to when he's coming home from work.
Mm-hmm.
um and then this dog comes into our lives, and things start to change. I'm going outside now, right? I'm taking him for
Mm-hmm.
walks outside. Oh, let me take him. He knows I'm talking about him. He's right here. That's how smart this dog is, just so you know. One of the problems that I had, um, the most frightening thing that happened, and it happened a number of times, was that I got lost. I'm not going to say lost. I got disoriented. I went out for a run. The first time it happened, I was at my parents' house. I had done this one circular loop. It's 5 miles. I'd done it, I don't know how many times. And all of a sudden, nothing looked familiar. I didn't know where I was. I couldn't see any street signs or anything like that. I started going into a panic attack.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to figure out how to use the Google Maps to get back to but I was in such a state that I couldn't figure out how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But as a girl who loves her daddy, I knew how to put the phone on, and dad is at the top. And I called dad, and I was just crying. I don't know where I am. And that happened a number of times. One time I had gone 8 miles, and they were sending people out looking for me. It was scary that it was amazing that I even got back. But the reason why I tell you this about when I'm talking about the dog is because Teddy has such a sense of direction. Wherever I go, he can bring me right back to my car or right back to my house. Or if we're in my sister's car, he can bring me right back to her car. All I have to tell him is find the car, and he will do that.
Mm-hmm.
He gave me my life back.
Mm-hmm.
He gave me my life because I could leave my house. When I started getting lost, I couldn't go anywhere. When was it going to happen next? So now wherever I go, Teddy comes.
Mhm.
All I have to do is say, find the car. It's great in Walmart, wonderful in Walmart. Um,
Sure. Yeah.
we could be at a stadium and he'd find the car. He's just
Mhm.
that smart. He's a border collie, so he's a herding dog.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So herding dogs have a very good sense of direction
Mhm.
because they're herding cattle, they're herding sheep, they're herding goats. They have to have a concept of where they need to herd them to go. And he's that kind of a dog.
Mm. How did do you remember how Teddy came into your life? Because I see you light up when you talk about him because like you said, you got your life back. You're able to leave your
Yeah,
house
I
in
did.
confidence. So do you recall when he came into your
Um,
life?
I, I've asked my husband many times. The only thing I remember, I was sitting up in bed. My husband came home. I'd been in bed all day, completely depressed. And I just remember saying to him, I need a dog. I have no clue where he got Teddy. I don't know how he looked for him. I don't know how he found him. Um, I remember very vaguely going into a family's house. Um, but that's all I remember.
Mm.
So again, those memories were taken from me.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, but he he gave me my confidence back.
Yeah. Yeah.
He gave me my I was I I was a medical social worker. Um I worked in nursing homes, the food stamp office, hospitals for a long time, hospitals, um, home health, and my last job was hospice. And it
Mm.
was the most amazing job that I had ever had. And for years I begged them, please don't put me on disability. I begged the doctor, please, I need to work. I loved my job. I think I was pretty good at it. And when I lost my job, I lost my identity.
Mm.
I was a social worker, but it, somehow the advocate social worker in me came out when I decided to write the book because I need to make sure that other people know that this is happening.
Mm.
People need to know this before they get this treatment. Tell the people all of the side effects that are possible. Let them make the right decision for them. That choice was taken away from us.
Yeah. So I hear in your journey, and even as Teddy is entering your life, you're regaining your confidence, you're producing a book, and you're advocating now for that informed decision. You're advocating for the things that were you were basically robbed of, and the
Yeah.
knowing and the knowledge and being a part of this Facebook group where there are others like you that are suffering through these side effects. Man, I mean, so many of us out there maybe listening, I know myself included, we go through so much in life. And as we are trying to figure out how to piece back, you mentioned losing your identity, how to piece back parts of that identity or create the person, what it's coming from with
Right.
this
Right.
experience. Um, that's when we realize that we do have a voice. We do have a voice where we can speak up. And you talked about being shy and, just kind of in the back scene of
Yeah.
things. And now you're coming forward and you're like, no, not another person. And, we've got to make sure that people understand what this treatment really does to others. I think that's just beautiful in the journey, because I think that's what it's all about, Lisa. It's all about the experiences that we go through, but not silencing ourselves out of shame and guilt, but taking a courageous step forward and saying, look, this has not only happened to me because you found your group, you found
Yeah.
the others that are out there, and coming together and say, no, we need to make changes in, this treatment that they're offering for, depression. Because what I hear, even in it, you take this treatment, you lose everything, and then you still find yourself depressed. And
Yes.
that's what hurts my heart for you. Like that's
Yeah.
when I heard you say that, I just was like, wow.
You're not getting rid of the problem, you're adding a problem, a
There
much
you go.
bigger problem.
Yeah.
And what I have found, and my husband has found, and other people, is that when you go to a doctor, they don't want to treat you because you've had shock therapy. They don't want to treat you. It's I don't know the word for it. It's like taboo.
Hmm.
And in the world of psychiatry, because it's the psychiatrist who does this, who does these treatments. They do them in the hospital, don't get me wrong, and you're put under anesthesia. But they don't look at the long term of what happens. But you can't tell me that that doctor didn't have lots of other patients coming into his office
Hmm.
saying all of these things that I can't make dinner. I can't do more than one thing at a time. I don't understand when people are talking to me. I'm starting to stutter. Um, you can't tell me that I was the only patient that went in there and complained every time I went,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
let me tell you, this doctor was brilliant. Is amazing and genuine, which is it was my mistake. I should have I, I trusted him. I really did. I truly trusted that he had my best interest at heart. I should have stopped much, much sooner and I didn't.
Hmm.
I found out recently, right before we put the book out, that I had over 100 treatments. Um,
Wow.
Normally, like a group of treatments, they do it at a time, maybe like 12 or 13 treatments. You know, it's like Monday, Wednesday, Friday kind of thing, and they
Hmm.
do that for a couple weeks and then they taper it down. Um, but yeah, I had over 100.
Wow.
Which is unheard of in the ECT world. That doesn't happen. People might. I was talking to one girl. She had 10, and it completely overhauled her life.
Hmm.
Um, and I just can't sit here and not tell people. Somewhere
Hmm.
along the line, when I'm doing a lot of podcasts, I'm going to libraries, showing my book. Even like craft fairs and things like that. I
Hmm.
just I just want to keep telling the story and I want people to keep telling the story. Eventually, it's got to get to someone important, someone that can help us make a change
Hmm.
because it's not going to come from the doctors.
Hmm.
And people don't know it's even happening. I was in I worked in a hospital. I didn't know they did shock treatments.
I didn't know they still do them either. Like I said, learning as well. So I'm you know flabbergasted on the fact that 100 treatments nonetheless, and you were still suffering with depression? At
I'll,
what
I'll
point?
tell I'll tell you that with the running, the interesting thing about the running is that my depression got better.
Mm-hmm.
To really, to tell you the truth, it's been 7 years since I've been in a psych hospital, which I'm going to tell you how remarkable that is because normally I would go into the psych ward 2 and 3 times a year. A year. So, you look at 10 years, 20 years, well, yeah, but it's been 7 years since I've been in the hospital. So the depression is fine, but now it's the
All the other things.
thinking, it's the
Yeah.
processing, it's um making judgment calls, having I lack I don't have the insight that I used to have. I can't think, well, what would happen if my brain can't do that anymore.
Mm. Man, that is so unfortunate, and it's heartbreaking to hear your story. It's almost like you were robbed of half of your life. It was stolen from you. Lisa, I have a question for you. As we're talking about this, and you're advocating for yourself, you're advocating for others. To have more of an awareness of what this treatment entails. So let's say there is somebody out there that is currently in that position where they're having to make that decision. They're in that in between. What kind of advice would you give that person?
What kind of advice? Um, I would recommend to them that they they find it's the International ECT Survivor Group. I'm pretty sure we're the only one of maybe two or three. It's an international group because let me tell you, they do it in Australia, they do
Mm.
it in Canada, they do it in the UK. I texted back and forth with someone from Finland. Um, we're not the only country that does it. So there are people all over the world, and you can just go onto that group and ask what
Mhm.
happened for you with this? What happened? Does anybody live where I live? Like you, I asked so many questions, and when people when people said that the same things happened to them, it just, I, I thought it was just me.
Mhm.
And they made me think it was in my head. They
Mhm.
made me think it was just me that was having the problem. And here are hundreds of other people having the same exact problems.
Mhm.
But you know what? After I wrote my book, I had people messaging me, finding me on Facebook, telling me that it was as if they wrote my book.
No, wow.
They said the exact same things happened to them. The exact same things, even to
Mm.
the point of doctors not wanting to treat them.
Wow. Wow.
So it's my story, but it's the story of a lot of people who
Mhm.
are suffering with depression,
Mhm.
and they're being told this is going to help. It may
Mhm.
help temporarily. It may kind of, you know, kick the depression out for a little while, but that depression's still there and it's going to come back. And now it's going to come back. So you're going to have the depression, And now you're not going to be able to remember anything.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, Lisa, how have you started to implement purpose in your life now? Like what does that look like for you as you're living it out?
Um, I'm going to ask you to ask me the question again because um kind of the way it works is a someone who has not had ECT,
Mm-hmm.
their battery, their the battery in their brain is like this.
Mm-hmm.
If you've had ECT or a brain injury, your
Okay.
battery is only this.
Okay.
So my brain's been working the whole time we've been talking. And so now we're getting down to my brain's getting tired.
Okay.
That's what
That's
that's
fair.
about, which is fine. But ask me the question again.
Yes. So let me ask it in a different way. How are you intentional about living today?
Everything I do is I'm telling people about the book. Um, I'm doing a lot of podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've had some speaking engagements, which and I always kind of want me. I told you I was very shy. I don't know why I would want to be a speaker, but for some reason I think I enjoy it, which is weird. It's like I don't know where that came, I don't know where that came from, but
Well,
um,
you're speaking on things that you're very passionate about,
yeah,
so
yeah,
that definitely
and
does
and I've been on
reflect.
the news in the local news a number of times. So, because I wanted people to know that it's happening in your hospital.
Mm-hmm.
It's happening right down the street from where you live.
Hmm.
I think when you bring it, here's the service dog who knows we might be wrapping it up. That's how
Okay,
smart he is.
sure.
Wait. No, don't talk back. Wait. Anyway, um, I if I could shout it off the rooftops, I would. And if people read my book, please tell my story to someone else who
Mm-hmm.
will tell my story to someone else. Just I never wrote the book. Obviously, I'm on Social Security disability and I was a social worker before, so Social Security doesn't pay a whole lot of money, especially if you were a social worker.
Yeah, yeah.
So the book was never come down. This is how my dog talks back. Down. No, 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 no. Teddy, come here. Come here. I'm gonna ignore him. He'll sit down. Um, he's not gonna sit down. All right. Come on. Come. All right. Come. Good boy. All right. As long as I rub him, he'll be fine.
Okay. Well,
Um,
Lisa, since we are coming to the end of our conversation, anyways, I would like to give an opportunity for you to let our listeners know where can we find your book.
um, I have a website. The medicine, all of the medicines dry out my throat, my mouth, everything. It's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people have that problem. Um, if you go to authorlisac.com, that's my website.
Okay,
It's very
wonderful.
simple. You can get it on Amazon, but Amazon doesn't leave a whole lot of money left for me. They take a nice chunk. So if you want me to maybe, I'm not making money on this book. That was never my purpose. But just so I can, pay for expenses. It would be nice if people got it from my website. So it's authorlisac.com. And I'm on
Okay.
Facebook with the same name, Author Lisa C. That's my code word, I guess.
Okay. Well, Lisa, I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your heart, your story, and your light with us today. Conversations like this remind us that purpose isn't about perfection. It's about showing up, growing through the things that we go through, and trusting that every step matters. Here at the Good Morning Minute and through the Empower Her Steps movement, we believe every woman has a calling worth discovering and a voice worth using. So friends, wherever you are today, remember your purpose is powerful and you're not walking alone. So until next time, keep rising, keep trusting, keep walking boldly into the life God has designed for you. I'm Angelina Mojica, your life coach, sending you much love, much peace, many blessings.